Well, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you right now, did the groundhog see its shadow? And if it did it believe it? I tell you.
Puxatawny Phil better look out. His life's in danger.
It is. The whole posse's going to go. He screwed up. This has been one of the longest, snowiest winters in decades. And still another storm hit much of the eastern United States, with snow piling as high as 11 inches in some places.
Spring, believe it or not, is just 2 days away, and millions of people can't wait. We have two reports from CBN News, starting with Mark Martin.
I'm having a ball.
Charlie Beck is trying to make the best of shoveling out from the snow. It's hard to believe these are scenes from the Jersey Shore just a couple of days before spring. Jersey Shore resident Emerson Shaw says enough is enough.
It was kind of funny. In one of the churches near where we live at home, they have a sign out that says, "For all of those of you that are praying for snow, stop."
New Jersey resident Mike Schlegel says he's never experienced a winter like this one.
No, not even close, especially in this late March.
The winter storm made driving conditions treacherous in parts of Virginia and West Virginia. A commercial passenger bus overturned on Interstate 95 in Stafford County, Virginia, sending dozens of people to the hospital, at least 4 with serious injuries, and the driver to jail. He's being held on reckless driving charges.
How fast was it going?
Too fast for the road conditions.
Shanora Moore was hurt in the accident.
The bus just went boom, the glass shattered.
In Philadelphia, the 4.5 inches of snow that fell Monday made this the second snowiest winter on record there. The National Weather Service reports that 67.4 inches of snow have fallen for the 2013-14 season. This while business owners along the New Jersey boardwalk are anxiously waiting to say goodbye to snow and hello to tourists.
3 more days until spring. We just want it to be here. So hopefully, the snow, it's out of the system right now. And we're looking forward to spring. We just want to get open, and we want guests to start coming here and the sun to be shining.
Mark Martin, CBN News.
This is David Brody in Washington, D.C. Well, the good news is that spring is just a few days away. The bad news? You wouldn't know it around here. Things are just getting back to normal after yesterday's snowstorm dumped more than 10 inches of snow on parts of the D.C. metro area. Dozens of schools, along with the federal government, closed down. However, today the federal government is back open. And, by the way, some trivia for you. AccuWeather says this is the 3rd largest snowstorm to hit D.C. this late in the season. It is made for some disastrous driving. The airport's also getting back to normal after hundreds of flights were grounded on Monday. All of this snow left residents in the cold and in a very familiar place, but judging from the warm temperatures just days ago, the sudden snowstorm took some by surprise.
It felt like the middle of spring yesterday.
And now?
It's freezing.
So the story today, thawing temperatures. We will be above freezing in D.C. This weekend, we're in the 60s, and then those cherry blossoms will bloom, and all of this will be a distant memory. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
I was reading today that there's a scientist, I believe in England, who says that anybody who denies the truth, quote, of global warming should be put in prison. Take him to D.C. and say, this is the effects of global warming. Are you out of your mind? Maybe you should go to a mental institution instead of putting me in prison. Well, in other news, Vladimir Putin doesn't seem to be too worried about the United States or Europe stopping his move into Crimea. John Jessup has that story from Washington. Here's John.
Pat, Russia is moving forward with annexing Crimea despite intense international opposition. Russian troops have occupied the region for 2 weeks. Today, Vladimir Putin approved a draft bill to annex the Crimean Peninsula, staking Russia's claim in a televised address to Parliament. Meanwhile, Vice President Joe Biden is in Poland. It's America's latest move to show its resolve against Russia's mounting intervention in Ukraine. Russians don't seem to be too worried about the sanctions imposed by the U.S. and European Union. Those sanctions are against Russian and Ukrainian officials involved in the Crimean crisis. Russia's Deputy Prime Minister has mocked those moves. The search for the missing Malaysian plane is now focusing mainly on an area the size of Texas, but there are still no leads. Malaysian authorities have offered contradictory information on the timeline of events. A U.S. official says they're doing it to try to keep things secret. Background checks of Chinese passengers on board revealed no links to terrorism, ruling out speculation that Chinese Muslim separatists might have been involved in the plane's disappearance. Still, all signs point to a deliberate act in what is now the largest search in aviation history. Pat, this seems stranger than fiction.
It is stranger than fiction. And all we can figure is that those pilots were dedicated Islamics, dedicated Muslims, and this is an act of protest. But what they must have done, they ran that plane below 5,000 feet, which was under the umbrella of radar, and I don't think they crashed it. They must have landed it someplace. But usually terrorists take credit for this. They trumpet it, say, look what the Islamic Jihad did to those stupid Westerners. This time, nobody's taking credit. You don't hear any trumpets, drums beating or anything. It just disappeared. Well, somebody has just got themselves a very, very valuable airplane. John?
Pat, a 4.4 earthquake rocked Pasadena, California Monday. The epicenter was in the Santa Monica Mountains. It was the only quake of that magnitude recorded there. An early warning system sounded an alert just 2 seconds before the shaking began. Watch as these news anchors realized what was happening while they were on the air.
Earthquake. Yep, we're having an earthquake. Okay, it appears to have stopped. Yeah.
Officials say the tremor should serve as a warning for people to be prepared with emergency kits and a safety plan in case a larger one hits. And scientists warn that if a 9.0 magnitude earthquake were to hit California's northern coast, it would have a catastrophic ripple effect. The Los Angeles Times reports experts say a giant tsunami would wash away coastal towns and cause $70 billion in damage over a large part of the Pacific coast. And Pat, people in lightly populated regions would only have about 15 minutes warning.
Well, I think the people in California are prepared, but they're never prepared for something at this magnitude. And so the epicenter seems to be in Southern California. They keep waiting for what they call the big one, because there hasn't been a major earthquake in years, and it's if I can use the term, it's overdue. Because stress is built up with the tectonics plane. They jam together and they hold and they hold and they hold, and all of a sudden they let go. And it's that dramatic slippage that causes these things. They don't have to move very far. It isn't like some giant chasm opening up. They just slip a little, and it rocks the buildings and causes great damage. But what they say, if there's a 9 up in the north, you're talking about billions and billions of dollars in damage, not to mention how much human life. John?
Pat, Jewish people around the world are celebrating the holiday of Purim this week. The Bible and the book of Esther records the story of how the Jews won a victory over a government official's plot to destroy them. And as John Wagi explains, some say the story has parallels today with the threats facing modern Israel.
These children in the southern Israeli city of Sderot are out to celebrate Purim, even though they were under rocket attack a few days ago.
It's about fun, it's about smiling all day long, it's about being something you're not.
At the Western Wall and in synagogues, the biblical book of Esther is read from a scroll. The Bible says Haman, a wicked advisor to King Ahasuerus, conspired to kill all the Jews throughout the ancient kingdom of Persia on one day. But Queen Esther, who unknown to the king was Jewish, and her cousin Mordecai exposed the plot and turned the tables, so the Jews were victorious over their enemies. And that's what they celebrate at Purim. In that spirit, Sderot residents took to the streets.
We're very happy that it's very quiet right now, and we have the chance to go out and see all the costume, and we love Sderot.
The purpose of the rockets is to scare us, and everything we do is not to let it scare us.
Just a few days earlier, Iranian-backed Islamic Jihad launched dozens of rockets at Sderot and communities nearby.
I'm making events here 12 years in the city. Never did we cancel one event, not because of the Qassam.
No, it's a holiday. We celebrate it if we have rockets or not without rockets. It's our holiday.
We asked Sderot residents if they see a connection between the story of Purim and today.
Yeah, president of Iran and Purim is happening in Persia, so maybe there's some connection, but still here. Just like in Purim, we're here and we're fine.
I think the connection is to try to forget our daily routine here. Still have this nice celebration here.
Always in every generation, there arises one who wants to kill the Jews, and then the creator of the world overturns it all.
Happy Purim holiday. John Waggy, CBN News.
Pat, do you agree that there's a connection?
Oh, certainly there's a connection. I think that without question that spirit of Haman exists. And there's been an attempt to kill the Jews ever since. And this is, I think, is satanic. I think there's a devil, and I think he hates the Jews because they're evidence that God lives and that he exists. And the Jews are never going to be destroyed. God's not going to allow that to happen, but he certainly does allow them to go through some terrible times. You know, they say they're the chosen people, and I'm sure many of them wonder, I wish I weren't quite chosen for this privilege because it hurts an awful lot. But I rejoice with those people in Sderot that they can party and play and have games and families together. And, you know, they laugh at the threats. God bless them. John?
Well, here's a news story that might make a lot of people happy. How would you like to take chocolate pills to help keep your heart healthy? Well, it could happen. A big study is being launched to see if pills containing nutrients in dark chocolate could help prevent heart attacks and strokes. Smaller studies have already found that the flavonols in cocoa can improve various aspects of heart health. The pills in the test will be packed with far more nutrients than in candy. The study is being sponsored by the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute and Mars, which makes M&Ms and Snickers. The results are expected in about 3 years. And Pat, I think some people will be disappointed to learn that those pills won't taste anything like chocolate because they won't have those sugars that are found in typical chocolate candies.
Yeah, I don't know if Mars is going to sell any more M&Ms on account of this study, but I tell you, you know, I was adding up, but my father lived a long time, and I've outlived him already by 1 year and still going strong. So he didn't eat chocolate. That was his problem.
He did not.
No.
Yeah, well, see, a good Snickers bar might have helped him.
Not Snickers. Snickers
They have dark chocolate Snickers.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of sugar in it. The sugar will kill you faster than the chocolate.
Sadly, I know.
It's the 72 to 88% cocoa that makes the difference. And but it lowers your blood pressure, and it helps you lose weight, and it takes away some of the appetite cravings. It is just wonderful. But don't overdo it. You can overdo anything.
A decades-old Bible survived the East Harlem building collapse last week, and some are now calling it a miracle. Workers found the treasured antique in the rubble. Several members of the 80-year-old Spanish Christian church expressed shock and joy when they learned the Bible didn't go up in flames. Reverend Thomas Perez experienced heart palpitations and had to be taken to the hospital when they found the holy book. 5 church members are among the 8 people who died in that blast. Schools in New London, Connecticut will recognize Muslim holidays starting in the next school year. That means Muslim students can now be absent from school, and teachers may not schedule any tests on those days. The Council on American Islam Relations applauded the move, saying it will improve the learning environment for Muslim students. The group's spokesman, Ibrahim Hooper, says more and more school districts nationwide are recognizing Muslim holidays. You can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com.